Hello, everyone. I'm Anodea Judith, and I'm so delighted to be here today with all of you to share about the chakra system and it's the way that it's a map for our times. I first wrote about chakras and evolution way back in the 80s when Wheels of Life was first being published. It came out in 1987. And the last chapter in that book was Chakras and Evolution. And I've been thinking about that ever since. So that's 35 years. It did go into a book I wrote called Waking the Global Heart, or it was republished as The Global Heart Awakens. And it was about moving into the heart chakra. And what I'm going to do today is share with you a PowerPoint, a way to present these ideas and take you on a little journey through your chakras and into a world that we know in our hearts is possible. So let's begin with a very short meditation. Close your eyes. And my way of aligning the chakras in the quickest and easiest way is to think of sending your roots down into the earth and lifting your crown up to the heavens, stretching your spine out in two directions, lifting up at the top and down at the bottom simultaneously. And feel that central channel, which I call the I, the capital letter I. That is you, that is your core where the chakras reside. And in this, you are connecting to higher consciousness from above. You're connecting to Mother Earth below. You're lining up all the chakras so the energy flows smoothly. And we just do a little bit of breathing into your base chakra and lifting all the way up to the crown and the inhale. Holding it there a moment and then exhaling all the tension out as you watch like a little lighted ping pong ball go down the center of your column, your central column, the sushumna, all the way down to the base. And inhale, lifting all the way up. And just like an elevator going down the shaft, that little ball of light goes all the way down on your exhale. And inhale one more time. All the way up to the crown, hold it there a moment, and then just soften your body as you lightly exhale, maybe through the mouth, maybe letting out a sound, and bring your hands together over your heart. Namaste. So I'm going to share my screen. The chakra system as a map for our times. So we know that we are entering a time of great and rapid change, a time of awakening, a time when we're coming to realize our place in the cosmos, a time that is dawning a new age on the earth that we are all privileged to be part of and help make it happen. And this is an evolution. This is an evolution from the past to the future. This is an evolution of humanity to its higher stages of being. And my definition of evolution is that it's the God's way of making more gods. In other words, we have evolved from single-celled organisms who put themselves together at higher levels of organization and became more complex and more capable. And now we have the capacity to be as gods. We have the power over the planet to change the gene pool, to blow ourselves up with nuclear weapons, to change the climate. We have the power of gods, but maybe not yet the maturity. And we know that evolution always moves in the order of greater complexity, greater power, greater intelligence, greater creativity, and higher levels of organization. So if you put that schema on human life and human culture, then you might say that we are currently in our adolescence as mortal humans, moving into our adulthood with the wisdom of the gods to conduct life on this planet in a way that is in harmony with a sustainable and long-term vision and with the planet itself. And what that takes is a rite of passage. So I believe that all the things that are happening on the planet right now, climate change and wars and various things that are going on, they are here to initiate us into a higher level of consciousness as a planet, here to initiate us from going from individuals and countries to a planetary organism, a planetary civilization. And that's part of our adolescence to adulthood. But to do that, we need a story. We need a guiding myth for how we evolve. We may know what we're evolving into. Yes, we're evolving into our adulthood, but how do we evolve? So I looked through lots of myths and stories, and the one that I found that best expresses what we're going through now is the story of the butterfly. So let's take a deeper look at how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. So we know that life for a butterfly begins as a caterpillar, a spineless worm who consumes 27,000 times its weight before it gets too bloated to move. And what does the news tell us to do? All the advertising, consume, consume more. It calls humans consumers, and we are told to buy this and buy that, and we are consuming the planet at an alarming rate. And what happens in the caterpillar is that once that bloating gets so big it can't move, it turns upside down and a chrysalis forms around the caterpillar. And inside the chrysalis, a miracle occurs. Tiny cells that biologists actually call imaginal cells or imaginal discs spontaneously begin to form in the caterpillar body. And they are wholly different from the caterpillar cells. In fact, they're so different that the caterpillar's immune system sets out to just gobble them up, much as new ideas get kind of attacked by the status quo when we're trying to bring them into the culture. And yet these ideas don't stop coming. These cells don't stop forming. They form in greater and greater numbers. And as they do, they organize, they find each other. Oh, you're a pagan imaginal cell. Oh, you're a yoga imaginal cell. And they come together and they form the body of the butterfly. And as that's happening, the chrysalis becomes transparent and the wings open out to a left wing and a right wing, aligned along the core, and it flies off into the garden. So this process of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly mirrors the stages of initiation. And in initiation rites all over the world, there are certain patterns. One is a separation from life as you know it. And we experienced some of this in the pandemic when all of a sudden the things that we used to be able to do, gather together in conventions and workshops, and that was part of my life, or go out to the store without a mask, these things we didn't have anymore. And then there's a period of confinement where the initiate is confined, maybe they're tied up and blindfolded, maybe they're put in a cave, where they are driven inside because they can't work with the outside. So our period of isolation in the pandemic, when we had to stay home, that was our period of confinement. And in that confinement, just like the chrysalis, challenges come. The imaginal cells are awakening, but they're challenged by what was before. But in that challenge, the old form dies, just as the old caterpillar dies and gives its energy to the new imaginal cells. We have death of the old form and a rising of the new form, which is a transformation. And then we have a rebirth in a new form. So this is happening all over the planet in different ways. As I mentioned, it happened during the pandemic in some ways, and individuals are facing their own initiation as they get maybe a life-threatening diagnosis, or suddenly they lose their job, or their career doesn't work anymore, or villages are burned out or flooded. People are experiencing this. And as we go through the confinement and are driven inside, something wakes up in our core and brings us into the core of the body where we find the chakra system. And the chakra system can be seen as a map for the world, a map for how we evolve, a map for our spiritual journey, not only as individuals, but also as a culture, as a collective. And that map, in my estimation, and I've worked with it for 50 years, tells me that we are moving from an organizing principle based on the love of power, or based on the third chakra oriented to power and doing and ego and power over, and we're moving to a higher center of organization in the heart chakra. And that is more about egalitarian, compassion, equality, diversity, coming together. And this is a movement as an organizing principle for society, from what I call the love of power, which is where we've been for the last 5,000 years or so, to the power of love as an operating system, as an organizing principle. So let's look at how the chakras have played out over history. If we go back to chakra 1, not that we don't still have it here today, but we know that humanity was in its infancy in the garden. And we live close to the earth. The element of the first chakra is earth, and it's our survival consciousness. Humans were in a more survival-based society that was living close to the earth, following the game where they went, harvesting the plants as we saw them, perhaps living in caves and small tribes. And then that was our cultural infancy. Then as we matured into the water chakra, chakra 2 is the element water, that was the beginning of shipbuilding, traveling across the seas to trade and learn languages and customs of other gods and countries, and there was an evolution of consciousness with that. It was also the time when we developed irrigation systems so that we had large-scale farming and could feed more of the people, the agrarian revolution. And this was our second chakra stage, and there was a lot of procreation, and population expanded exponentially. Then we've been in the third chakra stage for pretty much all of recorded history, where these complex societies that were coming together with people from different languages and customs, living together without any of the technology we take for granted, without people knowing how to read and write, without knowing about science. Organizing that took a strong man on top to tell other people what to do, and they told the people below them what to do. And from the kings and the god priests on the top of the pyramid down to the slaves, it was a hierarchy of power. And as we've been growing up, we've been pushing back against that power. We've been rising into people's own empowerment. We've been overthrowing these top-down power over structures, which we can see right now in the world definitely are not working. They don't harvest the intelligence of everyone. They disempower people, and they leave one person to have way too much power to visit calamity on others. So we've also gone to chakra 5, and we have devices for worldwide communication. We have the internet, we have cell phones, we have computers, we're communicating right now. This is a new thing on the planet. And in that communication, we can bring not only words, but images. We can use magic to imagine a different world and to put that out as ideas and communicate it widely. We have YouTube videos and PowerPoints like this one. And we have chakra 7, we've come into the internet, which is a global collection of consciousness for the global brain, and we have a spiritual revolution to study consciousness, to evolve consciousness, and that is our 7th chakra. But you might have noticed that I skipped one. There is a missing piece in all of this, and what is the piece that will enable us to all get along together long enough to realize this ideal world that we could be building right now, that we could be growing and maturing into? And businesses have been looking for that piece, and scientists and religions, and that piece is the heart. The heart in the chakra system is that which connects above and below. It connects the higher chakras to the lower chakras. So now that we've moved through raw survival, now that we have the ability to move across water and trade. And we have, we've procreated and made plenty of ourselves, and we've risen up and tried to reclaim our power from the power structures that are now toppling little by little. And now that we have our communication and our vision and our information network, we can bring everything together in the heart, chakra 4. And the heart's name is Anahata, and that is how it's pronounced. If you say Anahata, you mean struck, whereas Anahata means not struck, not hurt. And this is the healing that comes in as we heal our own wounds, as we move along our path, as we come to have compassion for others. And in this, what I'm calling the heart era, moving from the power era, here's just a few things that are shifting from an organizing principle based on domination to one based on partnership, to one that comes from a chain of command to a web of connection, from one based on perpetual growth, like the child grows and then has a big growth spurt at adolescence, but then their physical growth stops, to one of sustainability. From competition to collaboration, from markets and stockholders to networks and stakeholders, from building on expedience to aesthetics, making something beautiful, from hierarchy to holarchy, and from an ecosystem to an ecosystem. And these are just a few. Oh, and from war to peace, of course. And just as heart cells beat together as one in the organ of the heart, we as individuals can come together in our cities, in our countries, to form the global heart, which is just dawning now on the frontiers of consciousness. But we don't give up power to go to the heart. For as Martin Luther King has said, power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. But it's not only third and fourth chakras that have to work together, all the chakras have to work together. And all the chakras give us values for designing a civilization that works, a civilization that we could love, one that we want to live in. And so if we take the values of the first chakra connected with earth, we want to live in a way that is in harmony with the earth, that allows the biosphere to continue, because that is what guarantees our survival. We destroy the biosphere, we no longer survive as a species. So one that is grounded in nature. A civilization that takes the second chakra aspect of pleasure and enjoyment and elevates that to something sacred, not something that is denied or sinful. And that can be the pleasure of beauty, the pleasure of good food, the pleasure of touch, the pleasure of sexuality, the pleasure of just simply feeling good. And in such a society, we also want people to be empowered, to be operating under their own steam, and yet coordinated toward a higher purpose, not one that disempowers people, but where people are empowered to make a contribution. And of course, we want a world we can love. We want a world of harmony. We want a world of connection. We want a world where we feel connected. And we love this. We wake up in the morning, we love the world we're living in. We look out on beauty. We have friendships that last. We have work that's meaningful. And in the throat chakra, that we have truth as a basis, and we have harmony emanating throughout the planet. Resonance, sympathetic vibration, harmony. We take the vision of the sixth chakra, and we create not only a personal vision, but a global vision for how we can live. My global vision is we are here to create heaven on earth, and to take that into manifestation through all of our chakras. And then finally, a world that is guided by higher wisdom, in which we have spiritual practices where we can download guidance, and we can take that into our actions in the world. And in this way, we become cohorts in a kingdom. You know, the Roman Empire soldiers, they were called cohorts, but now I've coined the term cohorts, people who are coming from the heart, collaborating and cooperating and working together. And we are cohorts in a kingdom, not a kingdom. You know, once upon a time, we were, you know, lived only in kingdoms. There was a king and we only traveled as far as maybe 100 miles, and that was within the kingdom. But now we're in a kingdom where everything is kin. And this gives us a new identity as parents of the future, finding we're at a crossroads for how we live on this planet, moving away from the old paradigm of power over to a new paradigm of power with that takes us to the power of love. And in that, we can create together a world we can love. And that's how the chakra system guides us into the next stage of evolution. So I hope that you can take this into your own chakras. And as you work your own issues in the chakras, as you gain grounding in your body, as you open to the movement and flow of emotions and pleasure, as you find your power, that you can take that as a base to lift yourself up to the heart and pull down the higher consciousness, pull down a vision for your life and for the world, and communicate that vision wherever you go. This is the process that we are all in, elevating our consciousness to a higher level and making this world into something we can love. I think for the first time, we are actually able to select for love. And though that's not true everywhere in the world, we're getting to the point where we can select what we want to do for a living, where we can select who we want to love, what gender we want to love. We can select where we want to live, that we can actually select for love. We can choose for that. And as we do that, we are creating a world we can love. So it's really all about following the heart into your vision, following the heart into what is going to maximize the purpose of your life. And the chakra system is a map for navigating your difficulties, for navigating the changes in the world. And that personal map and the collective map, they map onto each other. They are one and the same. As we evolve ourselves, so we evolve the world. We are changing the world one chakra at a time. And so I thank you for listening to this. I am so sorry I couldn't do this live and take your questions live. I had planned the length of the presentation to leave room for questions, but we had some technical snafus and I couldn't get online this morning. So I've recorded this for you, but if you have questions for me, you can email me at Anodea, ANODEA, at sacredcenters.com. And I will do my best to answer any questions that you have. And I really hope that this video gives you hope for where we're going in the future, that as you read the news and you despair, you can see this is just part of our rite of passage, our evolutionary drivers that are trying to organize us at a higher level of integration, at a higher level of consciousness, a higher operating system, which is a movement from the love of power to the power of love. And with that, I thank you for listening, and do email me, Anodea, ANODEA, at sacredcenters.com with any questions you may have. I will do my best to answer. And again, my apologies that this is recorded, but I had a chance to edit a little bit, so you're getting better quality overall. So peace be with you, and may the chakras align and bring you greater joy and clarity and aliveness in everything you do. Thank you. Namaste.